Um, this afternoon, we will have the pleasure to have a special presentation from the team from BitTitan. I hope you can learn more about the solution, how you can do your migration to your customers. And as always, to remember that here at Intcomex Cloud, we can help you with your businesses. If you need any help with a project, we can help you with recommendations with our pre-sales team and also with the white label material to promote your solution. So let me help me to welcome Belle from BitTitan and also Pablo Galan. So thank you, Adam, for your time.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank you, Marlene, for that introduction. And yeah, excited to be talking with the Intcomex partners today about how we can help you simplify your migration projects with BitTitan. I've got a great presentation lined up for you here. So looking forward to just kind of jumping right into it. So as Marlene mentioned, my name is Adam Belle. I'm Channel Sales Manager for the Americas here at BitTitan. You've got my contact information there. Feel free to reach out, and I'll always certainly do what I can to help. And so with that, we are going to just jump right into the content today. I think everyone on the line already knows who we are, but for those that don't, BitTitan, you know, we've been around for actually almost 14 years now, and we have over 45,000 partners worldwide, like yourself, that are using BitTitan. And we have moved over 22 million users to the cloud in over 188 different countries. That's pretty outstanding. So what do we do? Well, BitTitan, we created MigrationWiz, and MigrationWiz is a leading cloud data migration automation solution. So it's a tool that you can leverage to help you migrate your customers' data to the cloud, whether that's Microsoft or Google's cloud. So we started off migrating mail workloads. We also do documents, personal archives, Teams, public folders, SharePoint, Outlook profile configuration. And all of this wonderful technology is built and runs on Microsoft's cloud, Azure. So that is a great thing to know, as we are 100% SaaS-based, and we'll get into that more in just a minute. But wanted to showcase for you which licenses do you have available to you at Intcomex, and you have them all. And our most popular by far is the user migration bundle. This is that one license that allows you to do everything, migrate everything, and migrate the mailboxes, the archives, the documents, and configure Outlook. It's an absolutely great resource for you to leverage. Then the MigrationWiz mailbox license moves just mailboxes, useful for shared or resource mailbox migration. Both of those you're going to license out per user or per mailbox that you need to migrate. You will need one license for each, and the licenses are consumed on use. So when you purchase a license to move a user or mailbox, you'll assign it to that user or mailbox, and then that license will be consumed. From there, we've got some new licenses, be it the collaboration license, the shared document license, or the hybrid exchange management license. Those are all new license types available over the last 6 months or so. And those allow you to migrate some new workloads, be it Teams migration, Teams to Teams with the collaboration. If you need that license, you'll need one license per team that you need to migrate for your customer. And if you're going to use the shared document license to migrate data into SharePoint, you'll need one license per document library that you need to migrate. So just keep that in mind. The public folder license, you just need one license per 10 gigs of public folder data that you need to move. So you could have 5,000 public folders, and if it was only 3 gigs, you just need one license to move all 5,000 public folders. So And then the last new license type is the hybrid exchange management tool. If anyone is doing hybrid in their migration deployments for their customers, this is a tool that's really useful. We've got some more automation, time-saving features built in there for you. Automated the batching, just made it a really easy-to-use interface in that process. Typically, you would be using this on a larger project, several hundred seats in size or more, but certainly a great value to you if you have those types of opportunities. So those are the licenses. Let's talk a little bit about why partners use them for their migration projects. And as I said kind of at the outset, it's very easy to use, and it's 100% SaaS with no special training, certifications, installations required for any of that. I'm a sales professional, and as part of my onboarding here at BitTitan, I had to successfully complete 3 migrations myself without any technical oversight or assistance, and was able to do that. So just imagine what you could do with our tool in your hands, right? Our tool runs in the cloud, and so you can access and work on a migration anywhere that you have an internet connection. You'll simply log on to our website, BitTitan.com, and from there you'll punch in your user account information, and then you'll immediately be able to see and access any migration project that you're working on. So it allows for you to work on a migration from your smartphone, your laptop, anywhere you happen to be. You can be facilitating a migration for your customer. And it's very fast and scalable. You can move terabytes of data in a single day. So typically for the kind of SMB client base that you're going to be catering to, that means just about every single migration that you're thinking about running for your customer base, you would be able to do overnight for your customers without any interruption or downtime for your customer while the migration is taking place. So we simply, no matter how many mailboxes or how many users, that won't slow down our migration speed. We will continue to spin up on the back end multiple Azure instances to power your migration. So whatever we need to do to make your migration move at speed, we are doing on the back end, and you don't have to manage or worry about how we do that. That's part of the magic of what happens behind each license that you purchase. And it's very secure and compliant because, again, we are migrating the data, and we are completely built in Azure. It meets all of the data compliances during a migration. The data is military grade encrypted while it is both in transit and at rest. So all along the chain, it is military grade encrypted, and we also only copy and paste data. We never delete any data, so you never have to worry about BitTitan accidentally deleting a file during a migration. Those 22 million users that we've moved to the cloud, we have never lost a file from deleting a file. So very, very secure, compliant, and reliable. And you can use it for enterprise grade projects. If you have a larger entity, thousands of users in size, we can certainly migrate those clients and customers. But it's also very simple and easy to use, that you can migrate 5, 10, 50 users and get tremendous value out of it. So those are some of the top reasons why partners leverage MigrationWiz. And these are some of the service automation benefits. Being able to complete deployments 10 times faster. We'll get into that in just a minute, but that's a tremendous value that BitTitan brings to you in terms of how long it takes normally to complete a project versus how long you can do it now with BitTitan. will also help you decrease labor cost and increase your cloud sales. So you don't have to have your senior level engineers working on these migrations. You can actually assign a junior level tech, and because of the automation and compliancies within our tool, you'll be able to migrate them very confidently and capably. So it's going to help you with your customers. Hey, everyone's trying to figure out how to do work from home, and fortunately, I think we're in some areas we're starting to see that we're going to start getting back to normal here. But COVID is very much still unfortunately a thing, and hopefully you and yours are staying safe and healthy in this time. But it's certainly something that businesses out there are continuing to weigh and consider, is how can we enable a remote workforce? And you can certainly do that with by enabling your customers to be able to work with Office 365 M365. So transitioning now into, we've talked a little bit about some of those values of speeding up the time it takes to complete a migration and helping you decrease some labor costs. Wanted to kind of show you visually how that can look while you're performing a migration. Something to consider when you're looking to purchase BitTitan licenses is that, if you buy, I'm just going to give you MSRP cost. You certainly get a much better price than what I'm about to share with you through Intcomex. But just to talk in terms of MSRP, if you were to buy that user migration bundle license at $15 a user MSRP to migrate a customer of yours, what you don't want to do is just look at your cost and say, well, that's $15. Let me add up whatever kind of margin, 15, 20, 30% margin, and then, resell that license to the customer and let them migrate themselves. If you do it that way, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. Doing migrations with BitTitan is not difficult, and you can charge, $50 to $150 per user that you migrate with BitTitan, depending on project complexity and those kinds of things. But those are the market rates. And so if you are charging those kinds of rates for your customers, it's going to radically increase your ability to net out profit on your projects. So looking at that first column there, that's a partner who's doing a migration manually without BitTitan. That large green bar shows their cost of goods, right? There's a lot of labor that goes into doing a manual migration, and resultantly your profit margin is going to shrink. So once you start using BitTitan, that middle column, that's where you see your costs get drastically reduced. You're able to complete projects much quicker, and you can still charge the same rate as when you were as what you were doing for manual migrations. That means that your profit margin goes way, way up. The other area, that last graph there, where it looks like both items kind of shrunk down, this is really just showcasing the flexibility that you have from a cost model perspective. You'll have the ability to, you're lowering your costs on a migration, but we recognize that migration isn't the only component of the overall project or book of business that you're seeking to win from a client. You're selling them lots of different hardware and software technologies at once. And so maybe you use some of your cost savings and you pass some of those on to the customer. So you can still net out a very healthy profit margin, even better than you would if you were doing it manually. But maybe you lower your project costs overall to your customer to win the project bid versus your competition down the street who's still doing migrations manually and doesn't have that capability and flexibility. So those are some of the areas where you can definitely bring that in. Wanted to kind of show you that math, just kind of spell it out to show you the real BitTitan value and the automation that it yields incredible ROI. So, when you're thinking about a typical, even just a 100 user migration, if this was a tenant to tenant migration, you were doing it manually, on average, that project is going to take 50 hours to complete manually, right? You're migrating a couple workloads. Let's say you're doing mailbox and documents, and then you're also configuring Outlook. On average, 100 users is going to take 50 hours to migrate because you have to manually touch each one of those machines. If this was the hourly rate you were paying out to your engineers, that would be your labor costs for your project. You don't have any tools costs because, hey, you're doing the project manually. Remediation costs, this is typically 10% of labor, so just project cleanup and overages. Your total cost of goods, and then if you are billing out at $50 a user that you are migrating, pretty standard for 100 users, that's what you could bill out for that kind of a project. That would be your profit, and that would be your margin. Hey, and 45% is not bad, right? And that's why I think a lot of partners say, hey, I'm doing it manually, I'm making money. Why would I use a tool like BitTitan? Well, if we look at that same project, this is where that time savings comes into play, because BitTitan will cut your migration time down to 1/10 of the time it takes to do manually. So instead of 50 hours to complete this project, with BitTitan, you're doing it in 5. You don't have to pay your senior level engineer to do this project. Now you can use a junior level resource. So you're going to save some on your hourly costs. Now your labor costs just went way, way down, right? Tool costs, I averaged out a cost of about $12 a license for a user migration bundle. I think that's around what you're going to get at Intcomex, plus or minus a couple of cents there. Remediation costs, again, 10% of labor. So not a lot of additional cost incurred there because of our automation, our time-saving features. You're going to save a lot of time and money. So your total cost of goods is literally half of what it was in the versus the manual migration, but you still charge the same rate. Even though you finished the job in 5 hours versus 50, you can still bill out the same. And that's what's going to increase your profits. So you can increase your profitability per project by over 60%. That's the percentage increase, going up from 45% to 74%. It's actually a 63% increase. You're going to be able to reduce your labor and remediation costs by over 90% using BitTitan. And the real key there, continue to charge the same rate per user or per project. So that's what's going to keep your profitability in line and where you want it to be. Now, what I want to show you here is it's more than just the profitability on a single project. Because if you compare the two manual migrations, hey, you were still netting out the $22.50 was your profit, and then versus BitTitan, hey, we made you a little bit more there, right? But I want you to start thinking in terms of scale. That manual migration, it took 50 hours to earn that $22.50, where it only took 5 hours to earn that $36.75. That means that you could complete 10 migration projects in the time that it would take you to complete 1 migration manually. That is a lot of additional revenue that we're talking about that your team can earn and bill out for. Now, I recognize you may not have 10 migration projects lined up that you can do like that, right? But I think what this showcases is the value of your time. And when you get 45 hours back from a single project, you can use that time to be billing out for other projects and services that you're delivering. So really, really impactful and helping you hit scale. And certainly hitting, if you add all of that up, you're over 1,500% extra profit margin when you compare the net totals of those two. So very, very impactful to the overall business. So that all sounds great to you. I hope it does. These are some ways that you can get started using BitTitan. We've got some links here. You'll get a copy of this deck after the presentation so that you can leverage these links to, click on the first one, watch the short video. It'll teach you how to create a BitTitan account, how you can access, get your licenses set into your account, and get started on your first project and access some of the great self-help features in the tool. We've got a short survey there, fill that out, and we'll give you a couple of free user migration bundle licenses to get you started. We've got a 24/7, 365 support team ready and willing to help you. We've also got a great library of knowledge base articles, or KB articles, at help.bittitan.com for every source destination combination we support in a migration. We've got a migration guide and tutorial built out for you there. So get started, create an account, and we can certainly help you out. We also have a lot of additional resources available to you. So if you need technical assistance with a larger project, we can certainly help you out and assist you there. One of our engineers, Pablo Galan, is actually on the line right now, and he would likely be that resource that we would pull in for you to help assist you with those projects. We also have, if any of you want to try out any of those new licenses for an upcoming project, let us know, and we'd be happy to give you 1 or 2 licenses to try out. And if you are migrating any nonprofits or educators, we'd be happy to provide some pricing discounts to you that you can extend over to your end customer as well. So those are some resources available to you. But at this point, I'm actually going to toss over to Pablo, and Pablo's going to pick it up from here and do a live demo for you of those new license types we talked about. The collaboration license, the shared document license, being able to migrate Teams and SharePoint data with those licenses. And then he's also going to showcase a new tool that we have called Velir. And Velir is an IT service automation platform that can automate a variety of IT tasks, whether it's onboarding an employee, offboarding an employee, or doing assessments pre or post migration. There's a lot of different things this tool can do. What Pablo is going to demonstrate for you today is just one small segment of that tool, which is the assessment. So with that, I'll go ahead and toss it over to Pablo.
Thank you, Adam. I'm Pablo Galan, pre-sales engineer here, and I'm going to show you how to get started with MigrationWiz with a easy demo. Okay, for those that are not familiar with BitTitan, the first step is creating an account. You can go to BitTitan.com, click on sign up, click here on register for free, provide your personal info, click on create an account, and after that go back to the same page, the sign-in page, and select here MigrationWiz or MSP Complete. MigrationWiz is the migration platform. MSP Complete is here because it's an additional platform we provide for customer management. If you are delivering different MigrationWiz projects to different customers, under MSP Complete, you will be able to see different customer views. Okay, but we can start from MigrationWiz directly. The first page you are going to see is this one with different overviews. Obviously, the first time this will be all empty, but as you create projects, you will be able to see here how many active migrations, the license overview, the recently complete migrations, recently failed migrations, and recent projects, etc., etc. You can click on Go to My Projects, and under this page, All Projects, you will see all the projects previously created. It's loading right now. In order to start a migration project, you can see here all the projects I've created previously. Each of these lines represents a different migration project. In order to create a new project, you have to click on Create Project. Here you can see different project types. Mailbox project is obviously to migrate user mailboxes and non-user mailboxes. Document project is to migrate Google Drive to OneDrive for Business, OneDrive for Business to OneDrive for Business, file server to SharePoint Online, file server home directories to OneDrive for Business, etc., etc. Public folders is to migrate Exchange public folders, on-premises Exchange public folders to Office 365 public folders, or cloud to cloud, Office 365 public folders to Office 365 public folders, or even Office 365 public folders to on-premises Exchange server public folders. We can also convert the public folders into shared mailboxes. Personal archive project is to migrate PST files, is to migrate archive mailboxes, Exchange Online archive mailboxes, and also in the Google world is to migrate Google Vault accounts. We can migrate Google Vault accounts into the recoverable items folder at destination. Collaboration project for teams to teams and hybrid exchange management. This is a UI that you can plug on top of an existing and fully functional hybrid exchange configuration. With this UI, with this project type, we'll be providing additional features that will make a hybrid migration very easy. And here at the bottom, we can see the Boolean assessments Adam previously mentioned. At this time, there are 4 migration assessments, all for Office 365 or Microsoft 365. We can analyze the full tenant before starting the migration. Or there are smaller versions for user content migration. This will be analyzed in mailboxes, OneDrive for Business, non-user mailboxes, etc., etc. Teams migration assessment is an analysis specific for Teams. SharePoint Online is the same, but only for classic SharePoint Online or Microsoft group connected sites. There is another one which is hidden here in this homepage, which is for public folders. If we want to start a mailbox project, for example, or document project, usually the first step is, before creating these projects, is launching these assessments. So we can click on this link, will be redirected to Boolean. Boolean is the other platform of ours. You can click on sign up, provide here a unique subdomain, because with this account you will be provided with a tenant in our cloud platform. And after that, once you receive the confirmation email, you will be able to create here your to sign in with your own subdomain. You click on continue and you will access the Boolean library. Here we can see all the automations we have created so far. It's not only for a MigrationWiz migration assessments. We are creating on monthly basis more automation templates. But for this demo, we are going to show the tenant migration assessments. We have to select here one of these 5. For example, the full tenant migration assessment. We click on this template, and from here we'll be able all the details of this analysis, requirements, the permissions assigned, etc., etc. And we can start by clicking on launch. After clicking on launch, I'm going to show an existing execution. We have to authenticate against the source tenant. We need to copy these authentication codes, click on these links, and provide authentication codes. We are not going to save the admin credentials in the platform under your tenant. We just need to provide these authentication codes, and once we click on next, we need to log with the source admin credentials. This is going to give us an authentication token that is going to be valuable during 1 hour. After 1 hour, the authentication tokens will be automatically refreshed. There will be 4 authentication tokens. One is for Azure Office 365, another one is for Exchange Online, and 2 more for SharePoint. Once we authenticate against the source tenant, the template will analyze the domains, and there will be one task where we can customize the analysis. We can select the on Microsoft domain. If the tenant is in multi-geo configuration, we can also select if we want to analyze all domains or a specific domain, SMTP domain for Exchange Online objects, or a specific user principal name domain for OneDrive for Business, SharePoint Online, or Teams objects. After that, if we can leave everything by default selected, or we can deselect objects that we don't want to include in the assessment. Mailboxes, OneDrive for Business, Classic SharePoint Online sites, Microsoft 365 Unified Groups, Microsoft Teams, and public folders will be included in the assessment. And these are things that we can migrate with MigrationWiz. There is an additional column with other tenant objects that are not supported by MigrationWiz, but is very useful to have these objects in the assessment. We can even specify here an email address and optionally also a protection password to send automatically the result of this assessment once it's completed. Once we click on submit, it will start analyzing the tenant. Each task will be analyzing different objects. And at the end, we'll have this link from where we can download the reports generated. And the last task, if we provided an email address, will be sent automatically to our inbox, the report. From Boulier, we can download this zip file, which contains a PDF, which is a high-level overview of the tenant without any technical details, and an Excel file with all the technical details. If I download this, I have to click on Enable Editing for this dashboard to be populated with all the numbers. And I will have an Excel file with a lot of tabs and with a main tab with the dashboard. In this dashboard, we can see in different sections, for example, all the mailboxes and archives. Here you can see different columns with different objects. The first column is for user mailboxes, the total amount of gigs of user mailboxes, the mailbox average size, mailboxes larger than 50 gigs, another column for non-user mailboxes, another column for group mailboxes, another column for archive mailboxes, on-hold mailboxes, inactive mailboxes. There is another section for OneDrive for Business, another section for SharePoint Online, Unified Groups, Microsoft Teams, public folders. This is the section for additional tenant objects. Here we can see a licensing estimation, how many licenses we need to purchase to be able to migrate the entire tenant. This is the cheapest combination based on what the assessment found in the tenant. When migrating documents, we might want to use, this is optional, our own Azure storage to ingest the data into the destination Microsoft APIs. And here we can see the total amount of gigs we need to allocate. And finally, this section will point to the documentation. So in this Excel, we'll have all the links that we might need to review. If I go back to any of this section, if I click on any of these links, I will get all the details of each of the objects. For example, for user mailboxes, here I can see the display name, the identity name, user principal name, primary STP address, tenant on Microsoft.com addresses, secondary email addresses, the total amount of megabytes of the mailbox if the archive is enabled, and all the other attributes, for example, retention policies, if the mailbox is on litigation hold, etc., etc. So the idea is, by clicking on these links, we'll be drilling down into each of these details. We can use these reports to create easily the MigrationWiz projects. For example, if I want to migrate SharePoint Online, I can go here and I can go to this column, relative document library URL, and when creating the MigrationWiz projects, this is what I will need to import into the MigrationWiz project. So I can easily copy this column and paste it in the MigrationWiz, as I'm going to show you in a little bit. Okay, so once we have the assessment, we have the complete picture of the source tenant, we can go to MigrationWiz. For example, we can create a document project to migrate SharePoint Online sites. I need to specify here a project name, SharePoint Online to SharePoint Online. I need to select here a customer. If I haven't created previously a customer, I can click here on New. I can provide a primary email domain, a company name, and after that, I select the customer from the customer library. Under source settings, I need to create a SharePoint Online endpoint. Here, I need to specify the root SharePoint Online URL. I can get that root URL from here. If this is one site URL, I copy this root URL, and here I need to specify the credentials. When migrating, for example, from SharePoint Online to SharePoint Online or from Microsoft Teams to Microsoft Teams, we need to install an authentication app. We have two versions of authentication apps. One is using application permissions, in which case we can use here a simple user account. This user account must be added to a security group. And so we don't need to specify here admin credentials. And another version of this authentication app is using delegation permissions. So here we need to add the admin account. So after providing here the user account, the service account for the migration, we can click on Add, and we'll be creating the projects. Okay, the same is for destination. I need to select here another endpoint. SharePoint is the same. I need to specify here the root SharePoint Online URL. In this case, is for the destination. So this might be a little bit different. And here I need to specify the service account that I'm going to use. The service account depends on the authentication app we install at destination. And at the bottom, we can select if we want to use the Microsoft provided Azure storage. This is a Microsoft API requirement, or if we want to use our own Azure storage. Using our own Azure storage will allow us to have more control on when we want to delete the migrated content. If not, when using the free Microsoft provided Azure storage, will be Microsoft after 1 month of the last migration that will be deleting the content from their own Microsoft provided Azure storage. So I create this endpoint. I click on Add. I need to select here. I click on Add, and after that, I will be able to see the project summary. We'll be migrating from SharePoint to SharePoint Online. SharePoint is a source because we also support on-premises SharePoint. Our destination will be always SharePoint Online. We'll be migrating documents, document permissions, metadata, and versioning. We save the project, and after creating the project, we need to add the migration line items. As I said, for SharePoint Online migrations, we need to add the relative URLs to the document libraries. So I can get those relative document library URLs from the Boolean assessment. I can go here, copy this column, and just paste the source and destination relative document library URLs. I just click on Save, and in a few seconds, I will be the migration already created. Each of these migration line items represents a different document library. We need to purchase a shared document license for each of these document libraries, and after that, we can start the migrations. We just need to select all the document libraries, click on Start, click on Full Migration, and start a migration pass. With this migration pass, we'll be migrating documents, metadata, versions, and document permissions. We can submit this pass before the cutover, and after the cutover, submit another full migration pass. Since we are migrating versions, during the next migration pass, we'll be updating the versions of the already migrated documents. So a destination will have the most recent versions. We can control the number of versions. By default, we'll be migrating the last 3 versions of the documents. We can increase this number up to 25. So we can migrate up to the last 25 versions of each of the documents. Okay, so this is how to migrate easily SharePoint Online document libraries. If we want to migrate now Microsoft Teams, the workflow is pretty much the same. In this case, we need to click on Create Project, but select a collaboration project, provide here the project name, select the customer, at source, select the endpoint type, which will be Microsoft Teams. We need to provide the service account that we are going to use for the source. At destination will be the same. We need to specify here the endpoint name, select the Microsoft Teams destination endpoint. And after that, we need to import the Teams mailing names. I'm going to select an already created project. When migrating Teams, these migration line items will be represented by the team mailing names. We can automatically discover the team mailing names from the source tenant by clicking on Start Auto Discover. It will be analyze all the teams from the source, and after that, we'll be able to import the teams into the project. Or the same way, we can go to the data assessment of the source, click on teams, and look for the team mailing name column. And this is what we need to import into the project. So I can go here, click on bulk add, and import all the team mailing names for the source and destination. For the destination, I can modify the destination team mailing names, and we'll be creating the destination teams with the team mailing names specified here. Okay. For example, if we are merging several source tenants, there might be different teams with the same team mailing name, and we don't want to merge different source teams into the same destination team, so we can specify here a different destination team mailing name. After saving the team mailing names, we'll have these migration line items, and we can start the migration just by selecting each of these lines, clicking on Start, clicking on Full Migration. Here, the migration options will be a little bit different. There will be an initial step to set up all the teams of destination. With this first full migration pass, we'll be creating all the teams, all the channels, and we won't be migrating any content. After all the teams and channels are created, we can go back to the project and select the second step, migrate data. In this case, we can start migrating documents and OneNote, migrating also document metadata and versions. For example, during the first migrate data full migration type, and once this migration type is completed, we can go back to the project and enable, for example, conversations, enable, for example, Teams permissions. And if we migrated previously OneNote documents, we can enable also OneNote tabs and submit another full migration pass. During this pass, we'll be migrating new versions or new documents created since the initial migration pass. We'll be migrating also the conversations, applying permissions, applying the Teams permissions, and finally creating the OneNote tabs. So we'll need to send different migration passes, full migration passes for each of these objects types. Okay, so this is how to migrate SharePoint Online sites, Microsoft Teams. I don't know if you have any questions. If you want to see any other project type, how to migrate other project types. I assume you already are familiar with a mailbox migration, for example. Migrating mailboxes will be the same, but instead of selecting document projects and collaboration project, we need to select mailbox project. And in this case, we'll be using different endpoint types. In this case, Office 365 for the source, Office 365 for the destination. And once the project is created, what we are going to import are the source and destination primary STP addresses.
Yeah, one question. Does the Teams conversations are sent to the mailbox, or it's going to be populated on the Teams app?
Well, there are two things. Teams conversations, team channel conversations are migrated through the collaboration project, okay? But one-to-one group chats and meeting chats, the one-to-one chats, the group chats and meeting chats are migrated through the mailbox project. When creating the mailbox project, we'll be able to see here under project summary what the items that we are able to migrate: contacts, calendars, mail, journals, notes, tasks, rules, and the last one is team private chats. So when migrating these mailboxes, in the mailboxes we need to specify the source on Microsoft.com email addresses and the destination on Microsoft.com email addresses. When we select pre-staged migration paths before the cutover, here we can see the team private chats. The recommendation from Teams private chats is to migrate these objects once we have completed the OneDrive for Business. Because if in the private chats we have links to documents under OneDrive for Business, if we didn't migrate OneDrive for Business previously, those links won't work. So we can start the migration of mailboxes with pre-staged migrating only emails older than 30 days. We can start the migration of OneDrive for Business. We perform the MX record cutover, and after the cutover, we go back to the mailboxes. We select full. We migrate all these objects, including the team private chats, because we already migrated all the documents to the destination, to OneDrive for Business. And at this time, these private chats will be migrated under a folder in the mailbox. At this time, we are not able to rehydrate the team private chats in the destination tenant because API limitations, okay? We are working, the dev team is working in a research project looking for ways to rehydrate the private chats, okay? But it's not available yet. At this time, all the private chats will be stored under a folder in the destination mailbox. More questions?
No, got it. Thank you. Okay.
So as you can see, migrating mailboxes, migrating SharePoint sites, migrating teams, it's pretty much the same. What it changed is the project type, the endpoints, and what you need to import into the project. For mailboxes, the Microsoft.com email addresses or the primary STP addresses that you can get also from the Boolean assessment. You can go here to users and select the column you need to import. So it's very easy using the Boolean assessment to quickly create and configure the MigrationWiz projects. The same for SharePoint Online sites with the relative document library URLs, and for teams with the team mailing names. Okay, we have 6 minutes left. If you have more questions, obviously this was a quick demo without entering too many details, technical details. to give you just an idea of how to create the SharePoint Online projects and the Teams projects.
Thank you, Pablo. And also thank you, Adam. Let me check if we have any question in the chat.
Thank you very much, Adam and Pablo. Yeah, are these the licenses will it be available through the marketplace, or we'll have to contact you directly?
Yeah, definitely reach out to your Intcomex team, and they'll help you be able to purchase the licenses there from their marketplace.
All right, so we don't have more questions in the chat. Thank you, everybody. Marketing is going to share the recording of the session. And I'm going to put the email address of the sales team just in case you have any question.
Okay, and the survey also, please.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Have a good one.